Hi, my name is Tarakur Rahman and I am a senior at Rutgers University. In this video, I will show you the positive effect of video games on the human brain. But before I do so, let me tell you a short story. In 2006, I was only 10 years old. However, it was the year my parents brought me my first laptop. They hoped that I will use the computer for homework. Thus, they were quite disappointed when they found out that I was using the laptop for video games instead. After my mom found out, she decided to limit the time I spent on video games. She used to lock up the laptop in a steel safe when I was done using it for school. As a result, I tried to persuade my mom by saying video games are good for your brain and its development. When I look back on those days, I feel amazed to see that I was right about my claim, even though I didn't have any scientific studies to back me up. Anyway, it's a completely different story today because I now have a plethora of research on my arsenal that suggests video games truly help our brain and its development. But before we dive any deeper, I want to go over some video game facts that are outlined by Jane McGonigal, who is a popular game designer and an author. McGonigal claims that there are currently more than 500 million people worldwide who play computer and video games for at least an hour a day. In addition, the younger you are, the more likely you are to be a gamer. She also explains that 99% of boys and 94% of girls aged under 18 report that they play video games on a regular basis. In the United States alone, more than 5 million gamers spend above 40 hours a week playing video games. This is equivalent to a full-time job. In addition, the average young person racks up to 10,000 hours of gaming by the age of 21. That's about 24 hours less than they spend in a classroom for all of middle and high school if they have perfect attendance. Think about it for a second. If you put 10,000 hours of practice into something, you can become an expert, according to Malcolm Gladwell in his book Outliers. Gladwell explains, 10,000 hours is the magic number of greatness. Therefore, our society is investing a remarkable amount of time in video games. Looking at these numbers, we can say that video games change how our brain works. However, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing seems to change as new studies come out. For example, a study that came out in December 2014 from the Proceedings of the Royal Society B looked at the brains of gamers. The study found that video game players have a less robust striatum nucleus, which is the part of the brain that constructs an internal representation of the outside world. According to this study, games aren't helping people learn to map the real world. Action gamers are using what's called response learning instead of the more advanced place learning. To simplify, imagine you're trying to get to a familiar place like a friend's house or your favorite restaurant. Response learning is when your brain creates a map using landmarks. However, place learning is an advanced internal map, so you know to turn based on distance and direction. It's the difference between associating lots of information as opposed to combining that information into an understanding of the external world. The researchers in this study think that the action video game players are underdeveloping their brain to a degree that it might affect their lives. In extreme cases, they might be prone to the risk of developing mental issues such as Alzheimer's. However, a news article from The Guardian suggests that there is no evidence for a link between video games and Alzheimer's disease. But here's the thing though. For every study that says video games negatively affect our brain, there are plenty of studies that say the exact opposite. For example, a paper that was published in Molecular Psychiatry in August 2013 puts gamers into magnetic resonance imagers to reveal how the gray matter was developing in their brain. They found a correlation between the size of the entorhinal cortex and the amount of time the subjects played certain video games. According to the results, gamers who played more logic, puzzle, and platform games had a larger entorhinal cortex compared to those who played action-based role-playing games. The entorhinal cortex works with the hippocampus to create memories and map of your life, so you know when and where something happened, as well as how it fits in with what happened the day before or the last time you met a person. The study also claims that the hippocampus and the gray matter in all video game players had added plasticity overall. Plasticity is the ability of the brain to adapt and change neural pathways. In general, more plasticity is better. Therefore, video games are very important in the way they can help us develop our brain and certain mental abilities. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you learned something.